ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 15, entitled The Killing of Dhenuka, the Ass Demon, text number 41. Krishna Kamalapatraksha, Krishna Kamalapatraksha, Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, Stuyamano Anugairgopai, Stuyamano Anugairgopi, Sagrajo Vrajam Avrajat, Sagrajo Vrajam Avrajat, Krishna Kamalapatraksha, Krishna Kamalapatraksha, Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, Stuyamano Anugairgopai, Stuyamano Anugairgopai, Sagrajo Vrajam Avrajat, Sagrajo Vrajam Avrajat, Krishna Kamalapatraksha, Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, Stuyamano Anugairgopai, Sagrajo Vrajam Avrajat. Mothers, Krishna Kamalapatraksha, Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, Stuyamano Anugairgopai, Sagrajo Vrajam Avrajat. Word to word meaning: Krishna, Lord Shri Krishna, Kamalapatra Aksha, whose eyes are like lotus petals, Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, hearing and chanting, about whom is the most pious activity, Stuyamanaha, being glorified, Anugaye, by his followers, Gopai, the cowherd boys, Sa Agrajaha, together with his elder brother Balram, Vrajam, to Vraja, Avrajat, he returned, Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The lotus-eyed Lord Shri Krishna, whose glories are most pious to hear and chant, returned home to Vraja with his elder brothers, Balram. Along the way, the cowherd boys, his faithful followers, chanted his glories. Purport. When the glories of Shri Krishna are vibrated, both the speakers and the hearers are purified and become pious. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalokya Chakshurinmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So here, after the end of this Dhenukasur Leela, we are seeing the Lord Krishna along with Lord Balram and all his cowherd friends are returning back to Vraja. And on their way, what is the favorite Vraja Vilas, the favorite delight of Vraja is all the time singing the glories of the Lord. This is what we see they do. And this is what we see with all the Vrajvasis. This is what they delight in. This is what is the favorite activity of all the Vrajvasis, that they want to glorify the Lord all the time. Like here, because the cowherd boyfriends of Lord Krishna, they are always with the Lord in the pasturing grounds the whole day. So they have seen quite enough pastimes of the Lord, the killing of different demons and the different plays which they have the whole day. So as they come along, they always want to glorify the Lord for all his activities which he has performed in the whole day. And even when they come back to their homes, they do the same. The whole day, the whole night, they keep on glorifying the activities of the Lord. And this same act of glorification is seen by all other Vrajvasis also. Because we see when the Vrajvasis are, when Krishna leaves Vraja for pasturing pastime early in the morning, how the gopis meditate. The gopis also meditate on Krishna all the time, because all the time they are only thinking about him. And that's how they keep on glorifying him. They always think about like how Krishna will be walking along the pathways, and there will be small pebbles which may touch the lotus feet, and they then meditate on the lotus feet, which is so soft, so it may hurt Krishna. And then they also meditate upon the young gopi damsels. They meditate on the flute of the Lord Krishna. That when Krishna along with Balram, when he starts playing the flute in these pasturing grounds, what happens? Wonderful activities happen. Cupid, the effect of Cupid arises, and all these gopis, their heart get attracted towards Krishna. They somehow they don't know how to control themselves, it's like a force, it gets attracted towards Krishna. And it's not only on them it has an effect, but it also has effect on moving and non-moving entities. Just like Kalindi will be flowing, suddenly she stops and she becomes non-moving. Sometimes she may take a reverse course to go back to the place where Krishna is there, So it's very amazing what happens. So these wonderful glorifications are taking place. This is how they continuously remember. We see now this Damodar month is going out, how Mother Yashoda also, when she was churning butter, what she was doing, she was remembering different activities of Krishna and glorifying Krishna during that time. So we see this is one common activity which is very, very common between all the Vrajavasis. That is glorification of the Lord. And we see the best of the devotees of the Lord, that is the gopis, headed by Srimati Radharani. They also are, all the time they are busy in the same activity. We see even in the dead of the night when Krishna called all the gopis for Raslila, what happened after the Raslila pastime, when billions and billions of gopis were there all together dancing with Krishna, suddenly Radharani left, and following Radharani, Krishna left. And all the gopis was like, they were struck by that and they completely got bewildered where Krishna went, and they all searching behind Krishna. They all left the Rasa arena trying to find Krishna. And in their madness in search of Krishna, what they started is they loudly started singing the glories of Krishna's transcendental qualities. This is in the 30th chapter, we can read about it in the 10th canto, 30th chapter, how they went maddened and started loudly chanting the glories and the qualities of the Lord. And all these gopis, as they went on, they started enacting different pastimes of the Lord, and they started thinking like, I am Krishna, you are Balram, you are this, and that's how they started acting different pastimes of the Lord. And as long as they were going on searching for Krishna, as they are performing these pastimes, glorifying Krishna's different qualities, suddenly whom they meet is Srimati Radharani. She's sitting alone there crying for Krishna because Krishna even left her. And then what happened along with Radharani? Now all the gopis together started searching for Krishna. In the dead of that night, only the moonshine is there. With the help of that moonshine, they are trying to search in the very dense forest. They are trying to search Lord Krishna. And they are going on glorifying the Lord, singing about the Lord's glories, qualities. And as they are entering inside the dense forest, at one point of time, it was so dark that the darkness engulfed them. It is said in Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami is mentioning, as the darkness engulfed them, they immediately retrieved back and they came back to Kalindi, to the banks of Kalindi. And there where they were sitting and they were meditating on Lord Krishna, and they started glorifying Lord Krishna. And that is what many of the devotees, they want to sing in this Kartik month, that is the Gopi Geet. The famous glorification I was hearing today, Loknath Maharaj early in the morning in his Japa talk. Maharaj is also today especially mentioning about this Gopi Geet. That how this Gopi, this is the best of the glorification because it is coming from the best of the devotees. That's why it is the top class of glorification by them. And he was mentioning Tapta Tava Kathamritam, Tapta Jivanam. That how they started their prayers, they started their glorification with that we are burning in the suppression of this, this intense suppression of, the fire is burning us. And this is how they started their prayers, and they're glorifying Krishna with different qualities. And Maharaj was explaining that how we also in that same mood, early in the morning in the Mangalarti, our Acharyas also has given us the same meditation. What is that? Samsara Dava, Naranidhanoka. That even we are burning in the samsara, we have forgotten Krishna and we have come here and now we are burning, thinking of enjoying separate of Him. We are actually burning in these pangs of material nature, and then we are also praying to Him, that please shower your mercy on us. And we are praying to His representative who is bringing that same mercy, and as in the form of clouds, He'll shower that mercy on us and relieve us from these pangs and help us to regain our relationship back with Him. So that's the topmost prayers which we have, Gopi Geet, which many devotees like to sing in this month. So in this way, sitting on the bank of Kalindi, they are all meditating on Krishna through these beautiful verses of Gopi Geet. And suddenly what they see, they started weeping loudly. As they are singing this Gopi Geet, they started weeping loudly, remembering Krishna in intensity and so much eagerness to meet Him again. And then what happens is, suddenly Krishna appeared there on that site. He appeared with a smile on His lotus feet, and the figure is like bewildering even Cupid. Such an enchanting figure. Kamadev is the original Kamadev, Kamadevaya Vidmahe. That is whom we are supposed to meditate in our Gayatri Mantra. That same form in front of the gopis standing. So this is how we see how the union of gopis and Krishna happened, again with the glorification. As they loudly glorified and they are weeping in intensity of eagerly trying to meet Krishna, again there was union with Krishna. So we see this effect of the glorification. This is what Krishna also talks in Bhagavad Gita to us. Mat chitta matagata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti ramanti cha. So this is what he is remembering, and he is telling us actually in the Bhagavad Gita the same effect what happens in Vraja, that when how they together, when they sit together, Tushanti Charamanti Cha, that is what they delight in. That is the favorite Vrajavilas, that is the favorite delight of Vrajavasis, that they want to all sit together and only talk about Krishna, glorify Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada actually translates that word Mat Chitta, means ones whose minds are fully engaged in me, he says. Krishna is saying that ones whose minds are fully engaged, because all the Vrajavasis, their minds are completely fixed on Krishna. That is why we see people also in this material world, the problem is that the minds are not fixed, they are chanchal, they are very flickering. It cannot be fixed, that's the problem in this material world. But but opposite is in the spiritual world, that their minds is completely fixed on Krishna. Mat chitta matagata prana. That is why they can dedicate their whole prana, their whole life, their whole energy in service of Krishna. Because there is a complete one-pointed focus, only Krishna and Krishna's pleasure. And because that's our problem. The problem what Krishna wants to tell us in Bhagavad Gita is that because our minds are not fixed on Krishna. That's the whole problem. That is why we see in the material world, according to whatever their mind is fixed on, they would like to speak about only that. We see sometimes even businessmen people, when they come together, what they do? They talk about only about business. When doctors, engineers, they come together, they'll only talk about their business. They don't want to talk about Krishna. This is the biggest problem, because they have forgotten their own self. They have forgotten about Krishna. Because where their minds are absorbed, their minds are only absorbed on me and mine. That is our bhavarog. Only me and mine. My post, my position, how can I better it? My extensions, that is my parents, my siblings, my wife, my husband, whoever. They only want to think about them. That's the problem. And they always talk the whole day, night, they will only talk about it. That is what we called as material gossip, prajalpa. That is what we are very fond about, prajalpa. But that's not what is Krishna talking about, mat chitta matagata prana mein. So to help us, conditioned souls who are merged in the material existence, forgetting completely Krishna, how is Sutta Goswami saying that Sukadeva Goswami, out of his great compassion for those gross materialists means completely engaged in materialistic activities, forgetting Krishna, only thinking about me and mine. Such gross materialists, when they struggle to cross over the darkest region of material existence, he spoke the most confidential supplement to the cream of the Vedic knowledge. What is the cream of Vedic knowledge? The cream of Vedic knowledge is given in the Vedanta Sutra. But to that Vedanta Sutra, he has given his wonderful commentary. That commentary he has given to us who are suffering in this material world. And that he has given after personally assimilating it by his own experience, experiencing each and every aspect of that Bhagavatam he has given us. That this is the panacea for the people of this material world. This is what will relieve them from their their davanal in which they are burning. Shri Shri Radharas Bihari ki jai, Lalita Vishaka Sakhi ki jai, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And also it is said when the Lord ascended back to his spiritual kingdom, what was given back to us in the form of his mercy? Yes, Srimad Bhagavatam. Purano ko adunoditaha. It is said that when the Lord left from this material world to ascend to his spiritual kingdom, the whole world was like full of darkness, because Kali Yuga has started. But in this Kali Yuga, to show us proper light, this Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord Himself has appeared in the form of Bhagavatam, and by the rays of His Son of Srimad Bhagavatam, He is spreading this divine light in which we can actually see ourselves and the Lord. So, but there may be some people we know, even the book distribution we know, there are many people who may say that we don't believe it, or we don't believe in this, or we don't have faith in it, or we don't have, or many times devotees also say that they also don't have the taste for it. That's why we come in Srimad Bhagavatam, many a times we doze down. Because we don't have a taste to it. We don't have that ruchi to read every day, to spend time with Bhagavatam. We don't have that taste. So, the Acharyas, in Bhagavatam itself, the Acharyas have given us the explanation for it. What to do when you don't have that taste, when you don't have that ruchi, but you want to develop that taste, you want to attract people towards Bhagavatam. What is the best way? That is given in the Bhagavatam itself. You can see the first canto, second chapter, 16th verse. Shrushusho Shaddadhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Syam Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevana. So he says, there are different steps now that he is giving. First step he is saying that Syan Mahat Sevaya. So Syan Mahat Sevaya means this ruchi which you Shushrusho Shraddha Dhanasya, that person can develop perfect ruchi, Vasudeva Katha ruchi. How come this ruchi, this taste for Vasudeva Katha will appear? How will it appear? Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra. Only by serving Mahats, the great devotees who have the same affection, who have the same taste for Srimad Bhagavatam, the glorifications of the Lord. When you serve them, then only you will develop that ruchi. This is the first step towards the Lord. The first step that is called as Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti. This is being talked about in Bhagavatam itself. Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti. This is how we will develop the taste. Only by serving the Mahats. And Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. Nishevanat means only by this service we will be cleansed with all our misgivings. Punya Shravana. And then next shloka talks about, after that what next happens? Shranvatam sa katha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ridhentasto Abhadrani Vidhinoti Suhurta Satam. So, Shrinvatam means those, once by serving these Mahats, once you have developed that ruchi, now you are going to start reading Bhagavatam, start chanting. In this way, slowly what will happen? Vidhunuti Suhurta Satam. Just by developing the urge to hear Krishna Katha, all that what is in your heart, all that what is the dense darkness of your heart, that slowly starts washing away. And that's how it is said that one will develop faith in the Shastras. Developing faith in Shastras is very important, because we have Guru and we have Krishna, and by their mercy we have got this Shastra. Like Srila Prabhupada's mercy, Srila Prabhupada has spent so much of his days, nights, just in translating this into the language which we can understand easily. He is helping us to understand these glorifications, this Srimad Bhagavatam. So much of energy he has spent in translating it. And what he wanted from all of us, that we spend time, our valuable time, in reading this Srimad Bhagavatam. That is what he actually wanted us to. Just, he says, it is not that I have kept this book just for book distribution. No, it is also for us to read. So, Shrinvatam Saha Katha Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana. By doing this Kirtan, Punya Shravan, by hearing this Kirtan, Ridhentasto Abhadrani, all that which is in our heart, within our heart, that Abhadra, all those dirty things in our heart, that all will go away. And what will happen is that faith for the Shraddha will arise. That's the next step, faith in the Shastra. And once faith in Shastra develops, we will start reading it more, understanding it more. And then what's next? It says, Nashta prayashu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. It is said nityam bhagavata sevaya. Why? What happens by nityam bhagavata sevaya? By hearing regularly, by reading regularly, what happens? Nashta prayashu abhadreshu. All that abhadra which is there inside us, that will all vanish away. And bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. So that is the next step. The first step, Shrinvatam Sa Katha Krishna, means now he starts developing faith. That's the stage of Shraddha. And now from Shraddha, slowly he starts getting into Bhajana Kriya. Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, that's how he's entering. Chanting 16 rounds, coming to Bhagavatam class, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, he's started his Bhajana Kriya. And by doing proper Bhajana Kriya, what will happen? Anartha Nivritti Syat. All these abhadra things in our heart, that will all vanish away. And after this anartha nivritti stage, what happens is bhaktir bhavati, this bhakti of the Lord, this bhakti towards the Lord, bhavati means it will now arise to that stage of nishtha, naishtiki bhakti, that will arise only after performing proper bhajana kriya. And all the abhadra which is in our heart, kam, krodh, lobh, moha, madha, matsarya, all that slowly will vanish away. And then what next happens is, tada rajas tamo bhavaha kama lobha adhayashaye cheta etair anavidham sthitam sattve prasidati. Tada rajas tamo bhava. What happens is, at that time, as the our bhajan kriya is increasing and anarthas are going away, and slowly the disciple slowly comes to the stage of nishtha. What happens? The effects of rajogun and tamogun, tada rajas tamo bhava, the effects of rajogun and tamogun, that will go away. And what happens? Kama lobha adayashaye, kam, krodh, lobh, moh, mad, matsarya, all these 6 inabilities which are there in our heart, all those will also slowly vanish away. And cheta ither anavidham sthitam sattve prasidati. Sthitam sattve prasidati. Anavidham means without being affected. He is not affected. Now once he comes to that stage, further he goes to the stage from nishtha bhakti, slowly it will not affect him. This rajas, tamas, that will not affect him. And then what happens? This is called as the stage of ruchi or asakti. He will slowly pass from these stages of ruchi and asakti. And then what happens? Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogatah bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. So it is said, Bhagavad Bhakti, he's first of all, evam prasanna manaso, he will be completely filled with peace and happiness. Peace and happiness with Bhagavad Bhakti. This Bhagavad Bhakti, when once enters in our heart, Bhakti Devi showers her mercy on us and enters to our heart, evam prasanna manaso, he completely becomes happy. And then what happens, the next step? Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam. Then he comes to know exactly he is aware about Bhagavad Tattva, the science of Bhakti, that manifests in his heart. And what happens? Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Now he comes to the stage of liberation. Mukta Sangasya Jayate. And then what happens? Vidyate Hridaya Grantis Chiddante Sarva Samshayaha Shyanti Chasya Karmani Drishtva Eva Atmani Ishvare. Drishtva Ivatmani Ishvare. Now he will see Drishtva. He will now be able to see on the stages of Bhava and Prem. He will now be able to see Drishta Evatma Ishvare. Evatma means self. Self means the super self. Ishvare. That he'll have the vision of. And Vidyate Hridaya Grantis Chiddante Sarva Samshaya. And once this drishti comes, once when he will have a direct darshan of the Lord, all the samshaya, all the doubts, everything is vanished. Even the traces of any anartha is there, that also is completely vanished. So this is what is the progressive stages of the effect of associating with this glorification of the Lord, Srimad Bhagavatam. The more and more we associate with Srimad Bhagavatam, the more we start crossing over these different stages from anartha nivritti to bhava and prem. So one may say that, okay, these stages are given, different, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually very beautifully analyzes different stages and is giving actually 14 steps towards Lord Shri Krishna, stepwise. But one may say that, what is the proof? You are giving these steps, is there any proof? Yes, there is proof. Itself in Bhagavatam. Who's giving the proof? Narad Muni himself. Narad Muni is the best preacher, preaching all the great exalted souls. He himself is giving the best example how this actually happens. He is telling this to Vyasadeva, his disciple. Listen, my disciple Vyasadeva, this is what happens stepwise. I was also born to a Shudrani. But somehow, by Krishna's mercy, because as we say, by Krishna's mercy you meet the Guru, and by Guru's mercy you get Krishna. So by Krishna's mercy, the arrangement was done that Bhakti Vedantas happened to reach to his home in the month of Chaturmas. So those 4 months when he associated with the Bhakti Vedantas, he served them with proper service and hearing from them, serving them, taking their Mahaprasad. What happened? He developed that urge to hear. He developed that urge to perform that sadhana. He developed that urge to hear the holy names of the Lord, chant the holy names of the Lord, chant the glorifications of the Lord. And you can say that Krishna's arrangement, providence, that his mother was bitten by that snake and she died. And then he took that as an opportunity and left towards north. And he says that he passed through lots of forests and jungles, and as he's passing through, he met so many of saints and all, and he's going through these different he's meeting different people, going through different phases of realization and trying to remember all those the Bhakti Vedantas had guided him for bhajan. As he's going through it, slowly in one of the forests, as he's sitting there meditating, he says, actually it's a very beautiful purports of Srila Prabhupada on those pastimes of where Narad Muni is talking. It's in the 6th chapter of 1st canto. Very beautiful talks of ecstasy with Vyasadeva, where he's telling his disciple Vyasadeva that how at one point of time he was completely lost, even in seeing himself and the Lord, completely lost in trance. And there where he gets this direct darshan just for a moment of the Lord. So yes, it is possible. This is the steps given by the acharyas for us. And yes, it is possible. Many a times they used to come to Srila Prabhupada and used to ask Srila Prabhupada, have you seen Krishna? So what Srila Prabhupada told them? That I may say yes or I may say no. Will you believe it? And how will it help you? The question should be asked is, how can I see Krishna? When the question, then the answer is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. How can you see Krishna? Very beautifully in these 14 steps, it's very nicely delineated in Bhagavatam itself, how you can see Krishna. And so this is why it's very important that we glorify the Lord. That's the importance of glorification of the Lord, that the hearer, the one who's speaking and the one who's hearing attentively, they both are benefited. They both go through these wonderful steps of progression towards bhakti, towards attaining the direct darshan of Lord Krishna. Also, actually there is also actually today's day, actually it is Dwadashi, but anyway Trayodashi starts somewhere in the afternoon, because even today people outside are celebrating Dhanteras. Dhanteras is the day when Lord Dhanvantari has appeared. So it's a very auspicious day in one way. Actually, it's Dvadashi. This pastime of appearance of Lord Dhanvantri happened on Kartik Trayodashi. But Trayodashi starts somewhere in the afternoon around 11:31 a.m. and it will be only there tomorrow till 9:02. So they are celebrating this Dhanteras today itself. Because Trayodashi starts in the afternoon, and also the people outside, they do this puja with getting all their gold, silver, everything they keep, and Lakshmi and Vishnu, and they do puja. That also will be done today in the evening time only. So just in commemoration of this very wonderful pastime in Dhanteras, we remember it was a year long that there was a pact between the Suras and Asuras. They came together with a business venture of trying to attain the wealth. People here have a business venture and they want to attain the wealth, but that wealth will at one point of time will finish. But they had a business venture of attaining a wealth which will be forever Amar. Forever it will keep them also forever. And that was Amrit. So they tried to had a business venture and they worked very hard together for getting Amrit. So all the demigods and all the demons, they all together came, and they are into, everybody knows about this churning of the ocean, this pastime, very beautiful pastime. And how there are different avatars also of the Lord. One right on the top of the Meru mountain, one below as a Kachap roop, and also in the form of the Lord took the form of the energy within. He's entering into everybody's, and as an energy he's giving them, so that they can perform this great activity. So after actually there were it is called, there were 14 Ratnas which appeared in this churning of milk ocean. Chandra appeared, Parijat Vriksha appeared, Airavat appeared, Kamadhenu appeared, Varuni appeared, Kalpavriksha appeared, Apsaras, different beautiful Apsaras like Ramba, Urvashi, they all appeared. Uchchashrava appeared. Then goddess Lakshmi also appeared. And then Panchajanya. And then Vishnu's mace, Vishnu's bow, Shardhan, that also appeared. Then there were different gems like Kaustubh Mani, Chintamani, they also appeared. And then so many of the, like that, there are 12 Ratnas it is described, and one after another they appeared. And at the end, the 13th Ratna which actually appeared was Lord Dhanvantri. That was actually today's day that he appeared, Dhanteras day. And a very beautiful explanation is given about, in Srimad Bhagavatam, about his appearance. I think we can see in 8th canto, 9th chapter. Yeah, as the demons and demigods, as they are churning, suddenly there is a beautiful a description of Lord Dhanvantri when he appears. Yeah, it is given in 8th canto, 8th chapter, verse number 32. 31st verse says, O king, thereafter, while the sons of Kashyap, both the demons and the demigods, when they were engaged in churning the ocean of milk, a very powerful, a wonderful male person appeared. So in verse 32, this person has been described wonderfully. That how he was very strongly built. His arms, they were very long, stout and strong. His neck, which was marked with 3 lines, it resembled like a conch shell. And his eyes, which were like reddish, complexion which was blackish, He appeared very young, and he had worn a garland of flowers, and his entire body was fully decorated with various ornaments. This is how they saw a beautiful person appeared. He was dressed in yellow garments. He wore brightly polished earrings made of pearls. Tips of his hair were anointed with oil, and his chest was very broad. His body had all the good features. He was stout, strong like a lion, and he was decorated with bangles. In his hand, he carried a jug which was filled to the top with nectar. This person, Bhagavatam says, was none other than Lord Dhanvantri, who is the plenary portion of Lord Vishnu. He was very conversant with the science of medicine, and he was one of the demigods. He was permitted to take a share in the sacrifice. So this is how Lord Dhanvantri appeared in today's day, and this is how is the beautiful description of Lord Dhanvantri in Srimad Bhagavatam. So the moment he appeared with that pot in his hand, immediately all the demons, they came to know that this is Lord, and he has appeared with that pot of nectar. So they immediately rushed towards him to take that pot of nectar. So the Lord also very easily, it seems, actually he could have stopped them. It was not that, because he's Lord, he is all powerful, he could stop them. But he didn't stop. It's almost like, as if he's appearing very simple and very bhola bhala. He easily is okay, allowing them to take away, snatch away the pot. Because the Lord has a different strategy how to deal with this situation. So he's allowing them, okay, take it. And then completely bewildered, all the demons, they are fighting among each other about who will take the nectar first. And in that and then what happens in this fight? Because if you see, the demigods also have taken part in this business venture, and even the demons. But you see here, the demons have snatched that pot of nectar and they ran away with it. And then the demigods, they are standing morose and they don't know now what to do. But they didn't fight for it. What they did, they went to take shelter of Lord Vishnu. And then Lord Vishnu pacified them, don't worry, I will take care of you all, because they are their loyal servants. So the master has to see, the benefit of their loyal servants. So what he did, he took the form of Mohini, and in this way he bewildered all the demons, and he very, very tactfully, he completely gave away all the nectar to the demigods. And at one point of time, when the nectar was completely distributed to all the demigods, then he took his original form as Vishnu, right in front of the demons. He is not playing any... He is directly taking right in front of them only, they have taken the form of Vishnu. So in this pastime, which happened in this Dhanteras day, there is something to learn. And in Bhagavatam itself, Sukadeva Goswami is telling us what is the lesson from this pastime. There is some very important lesson. Evam Sura Gana, Evam Sura Asura Gana, Sama Desha Kalaha, Hetva Artha Karma Matayo Api, Phale Vikalpaha, Tatra Mritam Sura Ganaha Phalam, Anjasa Pura, Yat Pala Pankaja Rajaha, Shrayanam Na Daityaha. Means, Evam Sura Asura Gana, means here we see that Sura Asura, they were almost equal. They were equal. Both parties, they were equal, and they had equally come in this business venture of getting the most valuable wealth of Amrit. And what was common in them? What is Sama? Desha, Kalaha. Both were equal in them. It was not that they were standing in America and they were standing here in India. No, they were all standing together in the same place, putting the same efforts. Desha is also same. Kala, the time is also same. Not that they had 1 year back and these people did it another time. No, both at the same time. And it says Hetva. Hetva means the cause. The cause was also same. Artha means the objective also was same. Karma means the activity also same. Mataya means the ambition to get this wealth. That was also same. But although everything was same, all these things were common between the demons and demigods, what happened? Phala, the result, vikalpaha. There Sukadeva Goswami says, phala vikalpaha. Phala was not equal. The result, the fruit of that parishram, that fruit of that activity, that was not same. That looks to be very different. Anjasa apaha. Anjasa apaha means totally or directly all the demigods, they received this nectar. This complete wealth was actually given to them. So why? What happened? What happened? Why it was so happened? Because they have all put the same equal effort at the same time, same place. But why? What happened suddenly? Because this is what happens. We put so much of efforts, but then when you don't get the fruits, you are completely frustrated. So this is what happens with demons. The demons got completely frustrated when they didn't achieve the fruits of their hard labor. And this is what we see in this society. People put a lot of efforts to achieve something great fruit. They put a lot of hard effort because they have ambition to achieve something very high. But when it is not achieved, they get completely frustrated. So this is what happened with Asuras. And this is what Sukadeva Goswami is warning us, that we should not be like that. We should take a very, very important lesson in it. And the biggest lesson in this is that one has to be careful that he should not run behind the fruits. One should not run behind the fruits, because for the fruits you be dependent on Lord Vishnu. That's it. You do your hard, you do your best, but you leave it the rest on Lord Vishnu. Whatever fruits he has to offer to you, that only you accept. Don't run behind thinking that this is what is my ambition, I worked so hard for it, now I should get it. No, even if it is not, that is in your providence. Whatever is in your providence, that you accept. They thought that yes, when the moment they saw that Amrit Ghada, they all ran for it. They just wanted it eagerly. But did they got it? Though they got that, though they snatched it from the Lord, did they receive it? No, they didn't receive it. This is what we see. Many a times people, materialistic people, they think they are very clever, they are very cunning to snatch away from people, what they want. And that's how they can enjoy it. But it never happens like that, because there is something called as providence. You will only get that much to enjoy which is there in your providence, not more than that. And who is the giver of fruits? Lord Vishnu, he is the giver of the fruits. That's why one should not be attached to fruits. That's what he again and again tells us in Srimad Bhagavatam, that don't be please attached to the fruits. So even in that purport, actually it's a very wonderful purport. Yeah, it's 8th canto, 9th chapter, verse number 29. Even the verse before, 28th verse, actually, this is the 20th verse which I have spoken about, that how everything was common, but still the fruits, they couldn't enjoy the fruits. And in that purport, at the end, if you read the purport of the verse 28, 9th chapter, 28th verse, the purport at the end, Srila Prabhupada gives a very wonderful purport there. The karmis who desire sense gratification, the jnanis who aspire for the liberation of merging into the existence of the Supreme, and the yogis who seek material success in the mystic power are all restless, and ultimately they will be baffled. All their efforts ultimately it will all be baffled. But the devotees who does not expect any personal benefit and whose only ambition is to spread the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is blessed with all the auspicious result of Bhakti Yoga without hard labor. So without doing much hard labor, the devotees of the Lord will get the auspicious result of Bhakti Yoga. This is what devotees aspire for. This is their actually wealth of Bhakti. This is what they want. So here again we come down again to that point of the ambition should be to spread the glories of Supreme Personality Godhead. That's it. That should be our ambition. This is where we started in this shloka. This is what the Vrajvasis do all the time. They want to spread the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And just by doing this one activity, just keeping this one ambition in our mind, the wealth of bhakti will be very easily, without any much hard labor, it can be very easily we can easily get it. Srila Prabhupada mentions that this result, auspicious result of bhakti, will be blessed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not that by your own efforts that you will get it. No, it is actually a blessing by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only by His blessing, only by the blessings of the Mahants, that it will happen to us. Just if we spread the glories of the Lord. In the next verse also, that is verse number 29, very heavy this purports, Shukadeva Goswami talks very heavy, that one may be putting a lot of efforts. One may say that, I am putting a lot of efforts for my family, for my own personal progress, for my family, for my community, for the country. But you may be putting a lot of efforts, but here it is said that these all efforts, they all will be baffled because they are all prithak, means they are separate from Krishna. But the devotees, aprithakvat means their efforts are not separated from Krishna. Whatever Krishna wants, whatever is the pleasure of Krishna, their efforts are put in that. That is why the result is also obtained by the blessings of Krishna. So that's why one may say, I have my house, and I have my own house, and I have my family members, and I do so much for them. Yes, you may be doing a lot for them, and it may be so much great. All the wealth which you have earned, you must have put a lot of hard effort, but all that hard effort, at one point of time, you all will be finished. Everything will be finished. But the devotees, they may appear to be also having a family, house, family members, but that family can be, but that devotee, when he also takes care of his family, when he also puts his hard labor in maintaining that family, he understands that that family is not his, but it is of Krishna's, and Krishna has given him to take care of it. Just like this big family, this big family of devotees in our temple. So our authorities are like our parents. They are taking care of us because it's their duty to take care of us, because that is where, that's the biggest position that they are put in. So that hard labor which they are putting, it is something non-different from Krishna. It is aprithakvat, means that is for the pleasure of Krishna. When all the hard labor is put for the pleasure of Krishna, then the result also is obtained by the grace of Krishna, and that result is bhakti. The goddess of bhakti, when she descends in our heart, all the inauspiciousness will vanish, and all the doubts will also be vanished, and we will have the direct darshan of the Lord at one day. So I will like to stop here. It is already 9:03. We can have only some comments from some seniors if they want to. Okay, so we'll stop here. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल.